Now let's bring in Bill Walton to the
Evan,
24/7.
it's Bill. How are you? 24/7. That's me. Great to be with you. Great to be out on the recruiting trail with you, Evan. Thanks for shining the light. Thanks for creating opportunities. Thanks for being part of the solution to all the challenges that we face right now. I'm honored to be on your show.
I appreciate you coming on, man. It'll be fun. How are you holding up through the quarantine and everything?
We're doing fine. We are well. Everybody is healthy. We are most grateful. We are the luckiest people on earth. I have my health. We have our house. Lori, my wife, oh my gosh, just the angel of mercy who makes everything good happen in my life. The children are all well. The grandchildren are all well. We have adopted my deceased older brother, Bruce, who went to UCLA, played for the Dallas Cowboys. Bruce and I are the only brother combination, Evan, in the history of the world to have played in the Super Bowl and to have been in the NBA Finals and won the NBA Finals. And so now we've adopted his two children. He passed away last October. And so he had two children and 4 grandchildren, and he has another grandchild on the way. So now we've adopted all of that. And so now we have 6 children and on our way to 14 grandchildren. So
wow.
We're the luckiest people in the world. Our whole family is healthy, but we understand full well that not everybody is in that same situation. And that's why we've started Bike for Humanity. And while you're recruiting, I'm recruiting as well, because we are a free program, bikeforhumanity.com. Just go to the website. It's a fantastic, all-inclusive website. We are raising awareness, consciousness, and resources for the people who are in dire need. Our message is one of hope, one of health, one of community through connectivity, and then through service and support of the people who need it. And people need to eat, Evan. People need to have health care. And so the programs that we're supporting out there are Feeding America and Father Joe's Villages, always a stalwart for everything good. That's on the food front. And then on the medical care front, Champions for Health and GetUsPPE.org. Champions for Health are the people who just rush to the hot spots and say, what can we do to help? These are the doctors and the nurses and the healthcare workers who risk everything to go to these horrendous situations around the world, and they need our support. And then the personal protective gear, which is just absolutely critical with this COVID-19 virus. It's like going to a basketball game and there be no basketball. It's like going to a media interview and there's no technology, there's no equipment, there's no microphone, there's no transmission of the image to make it happen. You have to have tools. So GetUsPPE.org, the personal protective equipment. And I am on a worldwide recruiting mission to make it better for those people who are suffering just tragically here with the sickness, with the death, everybody alone, and then the job losses, the devastation to the economy here. We have to work together, Evan. We're going to stick together. We're going to get through this. We will get by. We will survive. It's bikeforhumanity.com. Can you see my shirt? I love my shirt.
I got it. I also see that background. That's a heck of a background you got going on.
That's my life. Up in my left-hand corner is the Colorado River, the Horseshoe Bend. Right in the middle is Death Valley with Zabriskie Point. Then on the right side, you have Yosemite Valley, El Capitan, Half Dome in the background, Bridal Veil Falls in the foreground. And then you have the Hawaiian Islands and the beaches in the South Pacific there. And then if I move a little bit to the side, you can see, whoa, the sunshine where it all happens. And down below, we have the California Redwoods, we have the Colorado Plateau, and we have the Sierra Nevada, the high mountains here in California, which is such a winterland for a wonderland, for everything. And if you look real close, let me slide down a little bit, you get Cortez. Cortez passed away. He's sitting right on my shoulder, looking over everything just to make sure.
I'm surprised there's nothing notating Conference of Champions on there or a logo.
Well, we are the Conference of Champions, and that is a historical fact. And we are very proud. And what the Conference of Champions is doing with this COVID-19 challenge that we have, this is the toughest opponent that I've ever seen in my lifetime. Mm-hmm. And this is the biggest game that I've ever been involved in. This is the game of life. This is about survival. And this is about the things that make the teamwork. Number one, you have to listen to the coach. In this game, the coaches are the doctors and the scientists. And whatever they say, we're following those rules. And then in a group dynamic, and what you're looking for is when you're out on that recruiting trail and when you're trying to match up everybody and get them to the situation where their dreams have a chance to come true, then you have the elements of what makes a team work. And those always come down to honor, sacrifice, and discipline. Honor, always doing morally the right thing. And then the sacrifice, this is going to take longer and hurt more than any of us want. And then the discipline, the understanding that this is going to take absolutely everything that we have. And how we do anything is how we do everything. So whatever the rules are, we've been staying at home. Haven't been out in 5 weeks now. And I do go out. We are allowed to go out and ride our bikes. And we are allowed to go out and walk. We are allowed to go out and hike. But because of my physical challenges, and I've had 38 orthopedic operations, and my body no longer works. I can't walk. I can't do that. But I can ride my bike. And so that's really the genesis of Bike for Humanity, because I've always been a man of action, always been a man of let's get something done here and be a positive part of the solution. My favorite basketball player ever was Bill Russell. Bill Russell, like Steve Nash, only had one college scholarship offer.
Wow.
And yet he went on to change the world, and he lived his life by the mantra, by the direction of, at every moment, I am going to try to do something to help the cause. And that's what we're trying to do here. I was never a player who went out there and waited for the game and waited for the ball to fall in my lap. No, I was chasing it down. I loved the rebounding and the fast break and up and down and blocking the shots and throwing passes. I loved it all. I just loved to play basketball. Basketball was the perfect, ultimate celebration of life for me, but I haven't been able to play basketball for the last 35, 36 years because of my orthopedic health challenges. But I can ride my bike. And so we're doing everything that we can to try to raise the resources.
Outside of riding your bike, have you jumped into a new book lately? Is there a Netflix show you're doing?
I watch the movies, and I can send you my movie list. I read tons of books. I'm a history and biography reader. I'm a nonfiction reader, and I write a lot, do a lot of short stories, a lot of creative writing, and then some of my other passions and enthusiasm is directed toward music. Love music, and I love to listen to music. And when I'm not doing your show here, I always have my shuffle going. And then when something pops up really good, I just put it on repeat until Lori finally says, "Bill, we've been listening to this same song for 3 days. Please, will you just change to the next song?"
What's the latest one you've had on repeat?
Bob Seger, "Against the Wind."
Okay.
And that sense of, we're going to get this done. Yes, it's hard, but it's going to require incredible effort, and it's going to require incredible persistence and perseverance. So that, because it's easy to quit, it's easy to lose, but to win, it takes everything you have. And those are the kind of guys that you're looking for. Those are the kind of players that I tried to be when Denny Crum came to San Diego, my hometown, where we still live. In 1967, Denny Crum came down here and found me, and he said, "Billy, I think we've got a spot for you." And the rest was history. Now, other things that I like, not only listen to music, but I like to play music, although anybody who can really play music would not say that I'm playing music. But I love to practice at it. I love to play at the piano, and I love to practice on my drums. And I'm super lucky. We have a beautiful piano, custom for my height and size and orthopedic challenges. And then also we have a phenomenal drum and percussion setup system here, courtesy of the Grateful Dead and Mickey Hart and Bill Kreutzmann. I am the luckiest guy in the world. And we have drum circles. I play solo, I play along, but please bear in mind that I have absolutely no talent, no skill, and I don't know anything about anything.
Well, you know a little bit about basketball. let's actually jump into that.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about the season. Who did you think was the favorite if we had played an NCAA tournament? Who was your team? Who would you have said?
I focus, Evan, mostly on the Conference of Champions, which is
Right.
my home, my roots, my foundation, and my love. You know, if the Pilgrims had landed in San Diego, the East Coast would still be wilderness in a big national park with bears and lions and giraffes and everything roaming around, mastodons, and but there were no super teams out there this year, and there was no one dominant individual player. And so I'm just gonna. I saw Kansas. I'm always impressed with Kansas. You know, you always have to, in the tournament every year. You have to beat, in no particular order. You have to beat Duke, Kentucky, North Carolina, and Kansas. You can also throw in occasionally. You can throw in Villanova and throw in Michigan State there as well because of their excellent culture and their programs. And then you get the other teams, but this year there were tons of teams. Now let's just talk on the West Coast. Oregon was picked to finish first. They had a ton of injuries across the front line and their perimeter players, but they had the single best player. And Peyton Pritchard, truly remarkable what he was able to do. Because no matter what happened,
too, right?
Excuse me?
He was so clutch this year.
He's always been clutch. You know, he was a 4-time state champion in high school. And I was there the day at the Maui gym 4 years ago when he, you know, I never heard of him. And you say, well, here's this new player from West Lynn, Oregon, little tiny guy, right? Right. And so, you know, everybody under 6'10" looks exactly the same to me. And so here it was where, you know, the game was going on, and Oregon was picked to be right there at the end for the championship of everything, not just the Maui gym, which is the tip-off for the season annually. And they just looked terrible. And the next game, they play 3 in a row. The next game, Dana Altman should be in the Hall of Fame right now. Can't believe that he's not. Dana Altman makes a lineup switch, which is very unusual for Dana that early in the season. And he put this new guy, Peyton Pritchard, in the lineup. Took out Casey Benson, who was a very nice player and really key to their success. And I was scratching my head. You know, that's why I'm bald. I scratch my head a lot. And so here it was that this little guy, Peyton Pritchard, came in, and as soon as he came in, they just started winning. And he did everything. You know, he's not an overwhelmingly powerful player. He's not the biggest, the strongest, the fastest, the highest jumper, but he's a winner. And he does everything on the court. He passes, he rebounds, he defends. I voted for him for Conference Player of the Year. I voted for him for Defensive Player of the Year. And for a little tiny point guard to be both of those, that is truly spectacular. Now, he had some pressure in that Remy Martin was really pushing him a lot, but the Sun Devils in Phoenix and Tempe, ASU, they fell apart the last weekend. And that cost them. They had a chance. They had a chance to get it done, Arizona State, but they didn't. And so my nod went to Peyton Pritchard and the Oregon Ducks, you know, as the best team in the West. And I was happy for Peyton, a superb guy. We have so many class acts in the Conference of Champions. We have outstanding coaches, great athletic directors, fabulous programs here and building, and the way that teams, you know, Arizona is always in the mix. Colorado, Utah, Arizona State, all very good teams and seasons. New coaches here, Mick Cronin, UCLA, spectacular job. Mark Fox up at Cal really turned that program around in just his first year, and Kyle Smith at Washington State. And then you had the team that everybody was watching and waiting for all year long, the Huskies, with Mike Hopkins up there. Mike Hopkins, just in 2 years, this was his 3rd year, just a spectacular turnaround. You know, as the team has really come together, and that's a hotbed of basketball, Seattle. A lot of players coming out of there, and they're staying at home and going to play for Mike Hopkins. But they had a terrible season, and they could not win a game. It just really wasn't happening. Isaiah Stewart was spectacular throughout the course of the season, and really a unique player and human being as well. But then with the schedule the way it was, even though they were the last place team, we at ESPN, we were in Arizona following Washington through their tour of the Sonoran Desert, starting on Thursday night at ASU, Bobby Hurley and the Sun Devils, and then Saturday night at U of A, Sean Miller and the Wildcats. And of all the basketball that I saw all year, and I did a lot of Washington games.
Right.
Of all the basketball that I saw this year, the best basketball were the final 2 games of the regular season for the last place team, the Washington Huskies, who somehow, some way put it all together. And it was absolutely spectacular to watch it. Mike Hopkins deserves a lot of credit for keeping the team together. They really played great. And then the whole thing just evaporated,
Right.
as it has many times in my own personal life, because, well, this tragedy is the worst for me in terms of how it's impacted the entire world and the severity. This is really, really serious stuff. This is not just like turning a switch on and off. No, man, we have to reset, reboot, rebuild our foundation in all aspects of our life. But that has happened to me many times, Mike. I've had 38 orthopedic operations. I've had to start over 21 different times from the bottom. My life, my career, and whatever I've done has always been marked by meteoric climbs to the top, followed immediately by catastrophic collapses, health crises, orthopedic failure. And as this being the 21st time, this is the first and the only time, Evan, that I've been healthy. And so with that health is a privilege. Health is not something you take for granted. Now, you're a young guy. You just jump up in the morning and get going. It's not that way for us. And so we have to work at it all the time. Yeah. So with the privilege that I have of my current good health, I have the obligation, and that's why we are going out there on behalf of Bike for Humanity. Bike for Humanity, it's a virtual event. It's not a group ride. It's not a race. Just go to the website. You'll figure it all out. There's all kinds of prizes, all kinds of opportunities, and it's free. It's free to sign up. It's free to participate. It's free to be on the team. If you want to support these much needed organizations here who are doing fabulous frontline work, please, we welcome that. But most importantly, be aware, be part of a team, stay connected, work on your health, and keep hope alive. Hope dies last, and we are Bike for Humanity.
We will definitely check that out. I wanted to get back to you spoke of meteoric rise, and Anthony Edwards was a guy that really took off at the end of his high school career, finishing our rankings at #1. And then you did one of his games this year, maybe his best game and maybe the best individual performance of the season when he went for 37 points against.
I was there. He was in Maui Gym, and it was awesome. I mean, because here was a guy. We heard all the hype, but we hear hype every year about so many players. And then they turn out to be, they're nice players and nice, kind gentlemen and things like that. But can they really, really play? And when the standard is people like Bill Russell, Wilt, Oscar, Kareem, Larry, Magic, and Michael Jordan, and now LeBron James, when that's the standard, then that's a pretty high standard of what you're looking for. And so the first half happened. I can't remember who they were playing, but
Michigan State.
Partner, who were they playing that day?
Michigan State.
They were playing Michigan State, which was like picked to be number 1 in the country, right? And all of a sudden, the game's going on, and I'm like, okay, now which one is this guy? Who are you talking about? Which one is this? Who are you calling the Ant-Man out there? And then the second half started, and then I quickly realized, oh my gosh. And now Anthony Edwards, correct? That's his name, Anthony Edwards? Okay, so his challenge, once we've seen it, once he's shown us that he can do it, the challenge then for him is to be able to do that every day. And so that is why you choose a great coach. And Tom Crean, the ability for a young man to identify the opportunity that Tom Crean has going on at Georgia down there, very special. But Anthony Edwards, power, finesse, strength, fundamentals, discipline, a very gifted body, an aggressive attacking mind. That's a really, really nice looking player.
Any comparisons come to mind?
Best. But we have no idea what the world is going to look like. We have no idea, Evan, what the world is going to look like on the other side. And we have no idea when the other side is going to be, because the doctors and the scientists, they have to be in charge, because we don't know anything about what to do with this. And so, it can't be, just some rush to judgment to get out there. You have to follow the rules take care of your personal hygiene, work on your own health, because the strength of the team is the strength of the individual, and then self-quarantine. Don't go out and play pickup basketball with the guys in the neighborhood. That is not social distancing. Don't go roaming around, because we don't know where we are in this challenge. Right. In this big game of life, we have no idea the stage that we are in. I mean, the doctors can make educated guesses, but really their objective is health. And the games that we're looking to play at the top of the mountain, the pinnacle of life, those are the ultimate celebration of how healthy we are as individuals, how healthy we are as a community. And right now, our foundation is faulty. We have to go back, rebuild that foundation, and then when we come back with the big reset, we have to ask ourselves, what kind of society, what kind of community, what kind of world, what kind of civilization are we going to have? Are we going to have healthcare availability to people? Are we going to have realistic workplace conditions? Are we going to have jobs that are sustainable? Are we going to have individual healthcare programs, plans that we can be healthy ourselves to take care of the challenges that we face on a constant basis? And then always the issue of sustainability, energy production, resource management, transportation, food production, all of the things that we just seemingly take for granted. Oh yeah, it's just up the street at the store. Well, those have all come into play right now. We're doing our best, and that's what Bike for Humanity is all about. Do our best to make sure that the people who need the help, and think about all the people who have helped you, Evan, all the people who have helped me along the way to get to the point where, hey, I've got a chance. All I want in life is a chance. I've got that chance. My health is restored because of my spine surgery from 11 years ago now, and I'm just out there doing everything that I possibly can to pay back the kindness, the generosity, the patience, the skill, and the discipline of all the doctors and the healthcare workers that have given me my life back. I'm healthy as can be right now.
I want to talk a little bit about your life, and specifically from a broadcasting standpoint. You have this unique style, and it's drawn quite a bit of attention. You seem to have a lot of fun when you're doing these games. What's kind of your mindset heading into to one of these college games?
That it's the game of life, and it's the greatest show on earth. And here we are. We get to be a part of watching these young people trying to create their own dreams. And to witness that, to witness their growth and development, it's like being a dad. And as a dad of now 6 children and 14 grandchildren, it's the greatest thing in the world to see other people's success. Now, there's nothing like being the player when you have the ultimate impact and control, and you're in charge of the result. Right. When you're the broadcaster, when you're the fan, when you're the coach, there's very, very little that you can do in the short term. And so what we try to do is make it an enjoyable show so that people will say, wow. It's like going to a Grateful Dead concert. When you go to a Grateful Dead concert, you have no idea what's going to happen. You know, it's a show. It's a concert, or it's a basketball game. Anything can happen. And so you come in there with an open mind, an open spirit, heart, and soul. You hope for the best. You prepare for the worst. And then as the show unfolds and develops, you try to help and augment the development of the story. And you share some of your ideas, some of your notions, some of your experiences. And at the end of the day, when all is said and done, and they wrap it all up, everybody looks around and says, well, we did our best. And you know what? That was awesome. Let's come back and do it again tomorrow.
Well, I read a story in the Denver Post suggesting that you should, I'm sure you saw it, suggesting that you should start doing Pac-12 football games. Is that something you'd ever consider?
I have not seen that. I have not heard of that. Someone the other day, this was back when when we were all still broadcasting, I ran into somebody who suggested that, but I have not given that any thought. I used to play football.
Okay.
It was flag football when I was in elementary school, and I was a fantastic offensive lineman.
Okay.
I was the tight end, and then on defense, I was the middle linebacker.
Probably a pretty good lead blocker.
Well, I played very well. I was very lucky in that I played right next to my older brother, Bruce, who played in the NFL. I was an All-American at UCLA, played for the Dallas Cowboys. And Bruce was a big guy. And Bruce was Maurice Lucas. Bruce was Swen Nader before those guys came into my life. And Bruce in high school, he weighed 300 pounds.
Oh, wow.
In high school, I think I must have weighed at most. I weighed, I was 165 pounds. And John Wooden, when Bruce was at UCLA on the football team, Coach Wooden wanted Bruce to be on the basketball team, but Bruce looked around, looked at all the social opportunities that he had just being a fan after playing football all fall, quarter long, and he looked in the roster for UCLA and saw that we had Swen Nader, and he told Coach Wooden, Coach, you've got just what you need. I'm going to go on with my life as a student athlete on the football team.
Well, there's another thing I wanted to get your insight on. After the season, ESPN had a contest of who's the greatest college basketball player of all time. And I interviewed –
I thought I was going to win that.
Yeah, I thought you were too. But Jay Billis did this series with me a week or two ago, and he was adamant that Lou Alcindor is the best college basketball player of all time. So my question to you is, and I know
I agree with that.
You do. Well, you two weren't at UCLA the same time, but I know you played against each other in the
6 years older than me. Kareem very soon is going to be 73 years old, and I'm 67 years old.
Yeah. Did you guys ever play one-on-one?
No. We only played against each other in the NBA. He was 6 years older, so he was well off into the NBA. I was privileged as a high school player to go as a fan to his last game ever played on college of Vegas. And it was an NCAA regional game, and they were playing Santa Clara, which was the number 2 team in the country that year. They had Dennis Autry and the Ogden brothers, and a fantastic program and a superb squad. But UCLA, they had all these incredible players, and they had John Wooden, and they had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was the best player that I ever played against. Now, Bill Russell is my favorite player, but Kareem, that guy, he was so great. And his left leg belongs in the Smithsonian.
What made him so great in your eyes?
He had a phenomenal body. He had incredible skills that were all developed. He had a personality with that driven nature of search for excellence and the pursuit of perfection. But what he really had was a mind and a heart and a soul. And he cared. He is super smart, as he continues to show us every single day with his life currently. And then, his heart, he just worked so hard at it. I mean, he was in phenomenal shape. He's incredibly durable. Never missed a game, never missed a season. He was the first 20-year player. He made college basketball what it is today, and he carried the NBA for those 20 years on that left leg and those broad shoulders of his. And he was so tough. You had to be at your absolute best to have any sort of chance whatsoever. Plus he was 7'2" and had arms. He had arms that went from San Diego to New York City.
You mentioned John Wooden a couple times. Obviously, you played for the legendary coach. Is there a modern-day coach that reminds you of John?
There's a lot of great people like John Wooden. Very few of them ever get to the level of power, to the pinnacle of the profession, because they're just not driven by that. And Coach Wooden had the great fortune of being in the unique circumstance of getting to a school like UCLA, which in 1948, when he arrived, was just emerging. UCLA, there are 2 great public research institutions in the United States that started in the 20th century. One is UCLA and one is UC San Diego, right here, just down the street from where we live here. And so UCLA started in 1919. And UC San Diego started in 1960. The West was developed later because of the water shortages here. It wasn't, this is a desert, and so it wasn't until they were able to figure out some way to deliver water to the coastal regions of Southern California. Now we have, in the southern part of in the whole state of California, we have 40 million people. There's plenty of water in the north, but in the south, there's just no water here.
Right.
So, but we have 30 million people here. And so John Wooden was here at really the beginning of the explosion of the population in Southern California. He was also greatly aided by the fact that Chancellor Charles Young, Chuck Young is his name. He was there at UCLA for 29 years. And the importance of the chancellor, the president, to understand the relationship between academics and athletics and the cultural interplay between those two. Chuck Young, Chancellor Young, he got that. He really understood that and totally bought into that. And then Coach Wooden, he was going along for the first 15 years. He did a very nice job. And he was developing players, and they were all graduating, and everything was, going along well. But they weren't winning championships or anything. And then a couple things happened. The first thing happened was that Walt Hazard came to UCLA as a player from Philadelphia and Overbrook High School. Now, Walt was the combination as a player and a person of, he was Magic Johnson as a player, and he was Martin Luther King as a person. And then at pretty much the same time, but in 1963, was the year before the first championship, J.D. Morgan, he made the transition from being the tennis coach to being the athletic director. And from that point on, for the next 12 years, 13 years of Coach Wooden's career, they won the championship literally every year, other than the year that Kareem was ineligible because he was a freshman, and
right.
the year that I let the world down in 1974. But you have to have so much in place. And that's why when the young players are deciding, I can remember Coach Wooden's, you've got a recruiting-based program here at 247, and I'm here recruiting for Bike for Humanity, and I can remember when I was being recruited. And John Wooden's message was that, Bill, I know what all the other schools are promising you. That's not the way life works. There are no guarantees out there. The only thing I can promise you, Bill, is a chance to be a part of something special. Being part of something special is a privilege that must be earned every day. But Bill, this is a huge choice in your life because you're good enough. I've seen you play. You're going to be fine. But your ultimate level of success, achievement, accomplishment, and happiness in life, Bill, is going to be based not on what you do, but based on how good those guys are next year. And that's what we have to offer here at UCLA. And so I looked around and I saw Greg Lee, I saw Jamal Wilkes, I saw Henry Bibby and Larry Hollyfield and Larry Farmer and Swen Nader and Marcus Johnson and Dave Myers. And I said, yeah, that's what I want to do. And boy, I'm the luckiest guy in the world to receive a basketball scholarship to UCLA and to play for John Wooden and all the guys on our team. I like our team, and we'll take our chances anytime, any place, against anybody.
Well, it worked out pretty well for you. Bill, I appreciate you taking the time out and joining me.
We are alive. We will get by. We will survive. We are Bike for Humanity. Good luck, Evan. You're doing a great job out there. Keep encouraging those young people. That's a huge aspect of their life, is somebody telling them, yes, you can do this, as opposed to saying, no, and quit wasting your time, young man. And chase your dreams, create your own world, change that world, and please save us from ourselves. We are Bike for Humanity, and you are Evan at 247. Thanks.